Whoa! Welcome to the What's Up Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name is JJ Carter. I'm here with my co-host Mattson
Better red than dead.
and Alec Burgess.
Let's get it.
We appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead, tell a friend. Oh wait, wow, I'm all over the place today. We appreciate you tuning in. That's first. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, follow, bell notification. Hit all those buttons. Don't
Slap
forget
your grandma.
Man, we've been recording too many in a row. I'm losing my mind. But yeah, do all those things so that you can keep up with our episodes. Also, with that, tell a friend about us. Tell a family member about us. Don't tell your grandma before you, or maybe tell her after you slap her. Maybe before. I don't know in what direction, but
After.
there you go. After you heard it here first. But also make sure you tell your local assassin about us for hire. You can also tell list of criminals or your radio DJ. If you run VJ, I guess they're VJs, DJs. I don't know. Tell one of them about it. Your radio personalities, favorite morning show, even. Go find them. Tell them all about us. But yeah, so we'll get into more about why that works in our continued month of February here in a second. But before that, Manscaped is our next topic because they're sponsoring us again. This episode is presented by them. We do appreciate them. And it is 2024. We're in full swing. The New Year resolutions are in, and we want to check in because they're hard to keep. But Manscaped wants to check in as well. And guess what? It's never been too late to level up your grooming game and keep your bush tamed. Manscaped's new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This guy right here.
Ooh.
Yeah, it is every man's cheat code. I feel like I need to be Vanna White in this moment. Like, So you get it's every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on your confidence this year. Whether you're going for a trim or a clean shaven look, the trimmer has you covered. Trusted by over 10 million men worldwide. Now's your time to get a grip on your grooming with our exclusive offer, which is you can go to manscaped.com and use code THEVERDICT, all one word, for 20% off plus free shipping. The ball has dropped, but don't drop the ball on your balls. I can say that we've all used this product. I've actually bought an additional one because I liked it so much. They're good products. They work really well, especially for keeping groomed. Mattson, do you have some additional content for us on this one or no?
I'm going to leave the viewers with a little tease here. Just go no this time, JJ, because we can't expect it. It's got to be unique. It's got to be from the heart. And right now, just not feeling it.
Fair enough. I will say.
I got it.
Oh, shit.
I just got married recently, so the only one who takes care of my balls is Manscaped. From the heart.
From the heart. Man, I will tell you the rules change a little. Oh, God. I love it. Sorry, that was inspired. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't heard before, you got to check out our previous 2 episodes and one before that even. There's been haikus and jingles and jingle bells songs and all sorts
with a common theme. See if you can guess it.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, put it in.
There's trivia.
Besides Manscaped, notice the theme behind those particular songs and poems. But with that, don't forget, go check out for 20% off and free shipping. You can use the code THEVERDICT, all one word, at manscaped.com. Go ahead and embrace it. New you, and definitely embrace a new trimmer courtesy of Manscaped. So again, for those guys, we appreciate you sponsoring us. We love working with you and partnering with you. So thanks for presenting this episode to everyone. So with that, February has continued. It's our final episode of February, the month of go big or go home, movies that go, like the over the top stuff. And we're closing it out with Grosse Pointe Blank. It was released April 11th, 1997. It was written by Tom Jankovic, D.V. DeVincentes, and Steve Pink. What a great name. It's directed by George Armitage, stars John Cusack, Minnie Driver, Dan Akroyd, Joan Cusack, Alan Arkin, Hank Azaria, Jeremy Piven, and Mitchell Ryan. It is about Martin Blank, a professional assassin. He's sent on a mission to small Detroit suburb, Grosse Pointe, and by coincidence, his 10-year high school reunion party is taking place there at the same time. Yeah, this was my pick. I love this film, but I'm excited to hear you guys' thoughts. Mattson, you kind of hinted at yours, so why don't you go first and go ahead and shit all over one of my favorite movies?
Oh man, this movie. You know what, JJ? I don't want to do that to our listeners first. You bring the warm fuzzy roses, and I'll bring the rain clouds.
Okay. Um, Look, I think this movie is hilarious. It has some of the greatest one-liners. Like, for example, when he's talking to Debbie in the radio station, and like he's trying to pour his heart out, and she's like, "You're a fucking psycho." Like, it's just, I fucking love the one-liners in this film. Like Dan Akroyd, this is one of my favorite performances of Dan Akroyd's, just because talk about over the top, or go big or go home. Dan Akroyd lays it all out there in this film. He is fucking crazy. And all the dialogues about starting the assassin, the hitman fucking group, or like the union, like that shit. I just laugh so hard because it's this movie trying to have this guy have this crisis of conscience, and not really crisis of conscience, but more of like this identity crisis of who is he, like why is he doing what he does, and it's all wrapped up in this ridiculous over the top assassination theme of like while he's trying to reconnect with this girl that he left and loved, and like it's just so ridiculous and so over the top. But to me, like the dialogue is so funny and the jokes hit just so good because they're so extra and out there that I just giggle at this movie so much. And it's pointless and it's silly, but it makes me happy, which is why I love
So
it.
let's talk about a funny part. What's the I forget the assassin's name that gets killed in, that's trying to do like the assassin group that he's trying to like recruit Martin Blank to. What's that?
Grosser?
Yeah,
You
love
talking
that
Dan
dude.
Akroyd? Yeah.
Yeah, that whole banter. One thing this movie does well, that's awesome. Also, Martin Blank and his sister in the office, those interactions, those two areas, most especially, all that is awesome. Love all those interactions. They make me chuckle, especially Martin, the other assassin. I mean, just weird stuff going on there. Like in multiple different scenes. Anytime they see each other, they always think they're gonna shoot each other. For one, there's like a
Yeah.
tension, whether they're gonna get blown up or something. Like all the things, love it all, and I love when they shoot at each other. I don't know. They must have just told them, please find out the way to look the stupidest, the most opposite you could be of John Wick. Whatever
Yeah.
that is for your character, let's do it and do it well. And for this movie, it obviously works because nothing about this movie makes any sense. And so when you're going pew 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 and like already putting the recoil into your shot, making me think you are really accurate, and then Martin Blank does the behind the back shot or whatever when he's going up the stairs. And I'm like, there is no world where you even remotely shot this person, but of course you did because you're that. Love all that, all of
Yeah.
that, love it all, so good. The problem with this movie, to me, the character development, especially with Martin Blank, I never felt enough to feel invested in what was really happening there. It never resonated for me. The pacing of this movie, I think, is probably what I struggled with personally the most. If JJ was to say, what is Matt's going to have the hardest time with? Probably some of the jokes, but the pacing of this movie was just confusing because there's a couple parts that was fast, it was fun, it was like, all right, like let's stay there, and then it would just be this long drag out, like supposed to feel a certain way about this character, and I just never did. I just wanted more of the silliness, but they never stayed in the silly type that I needed it to, and so it's kind of this constant egg, like being pulled of, "Oh, when's it going to come back again? When am I going to get another gas station scene where stupid ridiculousness happens, and then have to go through another 15 minutes of like, can we just get back to that feeling?" That's what a lot of this movie was for me.
JJ, do you remember when we did No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence? Mattson, I don't know
Yeah.
if you were on for this one.
I don't think it was.
We said that we didn't know of anybody who could carry a film like Jennifer Lawrence did. We found it. John Cusack,
Cusack.
Grosse Point Blank, because you take John Cusack out of this movie and it's a hot, steamy pile of shit. John Cusack in this movie, fucking hilarious. And it's his delivery and his lines, his body language, everything he does. Like from the beginning where he's like, no, they paid me for the cyclist. Nobody said anything about the doorman.
Yeah.
That thing, or speaking of the gas station, like when he pulls up and he parks his car, and you can see his reaction to be like, right, but you don't see it until it turn around and it's a convenience store, just cracking up. And then
Why here?
Paul's like, hey, sorry about that. I got the deal for the house.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite interactions is with the store clerk. He's like, what are you doing here? I work here. No. What are you doing here? And then he calls his secretary. He's like, well, I was standing in my living room, but it's not here. I just love it.
I was dying. And then you throw in this like secondhand story arc with this therapist.
I love that story. Yeah. My wife's a therapist, so that one I just laughed because I was like, oh man, I know she does not therapize murderers, but I know she has patients like that where she just wishes she could just disappear and like turn off every form of communication, just like go away.
Yeah.
But this is so funny. He calls him when he was with the client, and he's like, "You're a sucky therapist." And just every single part of this movie is so funny.
Oh yeah.
And I was just dying.
Or his buddy when they murdered that assassin guy dies in the high school hallway. Yeah. And his buddy, I can't remember his actual name, that famous actor, but the real estate guy helps him wrap it up. And they just go down to the furnace and just dump the body. And you're just like, you're not like, yo, where's the heat already? Like, that's actually one of the things that this movie was weird to me. Every time there's like a big moment, like the gas station, the high school thing, where are the cops? Like, yep. Where in the world is the law enforcement at some point falling? They finally show up at the very end and get their asses capped. Like, what were they thinking? But never to be found. It's just complete lawlessness in Grosse Pointe. Like their sheriff must just be eating tons of donuts.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the funny, like for me, like that's the part that cracks me up is the only cops in this film are the ones that the other assassin hired to assassinate Martin. And you're like, wait, what? And then it ends up being Grosser that takes him out in the end along with Martin as they bust in and just get lit up. Yeah, I'm with you. Like it's so funny. There's a giant explosion in the middle of the city. Nobody shows up. Like
not one person. Not even the HOA lady that's like your grass is 2 inches too high.
Yeah. Well, like to your point, they murder this dude in the high school and he stabbed him in the neck. Like, there's a lot of blood, but they don't clean any of it up. They just wrap him up in a school sign and throw him in the furnace.
And that school sign is going to hold that. Dude, that thing's going to rip immediately. Like, that ain't working. Come on. And the way they pick up the dead body was like, they made it look kind of heavy, but then they drop it down in the cellar and Martin Blank jumps and like, then he basically picks up himself. I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy. You're a little too skinny to like, you don't have the traps for that.
I love it. It's so stupid that it's like hilarious to me.
Or like the house selling scene. I know you just died at that one. He just like totally ruins that transaction.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think that's the part when you talk about character development, and yes, there's not like it's so over the top character development that it's funny because it's like he's this assassin that's still doesn't have a conscience and tells everyone, I don't care about killing people. Like I have no problem with it, but I have a hard time with the fact that I don't have anyone else in my life. Like that I'm like, so that part's funny. But when I laugh is like he does things that would destroy every other relationship. And yet his buddy Paul like hangs out with him, helps him dispose of a body, lets him ruin a sale for him. Like, and it's because he's so narcissistic that it's absolutely ridiculous. But he's this narcissist that instead of being hyper focused on himself at this point, he's hyper focused on what he's missing out on because he doesn't have anybody else besides his career. And I just love that moment. Like every time he ruins something, he walks in the middle of a broadcast on the radio to the point that she has to invite him to have a conversation on the radio. Then he interrupts, like, he goes and sees his mom who's in an insane asylum. And the only thing he's worried about is why she sold his house. Like, it's like, wait, what?
Or like, what happened to all the money I sent you?
Yeah. It's not about what happened, Mom, that you're in the crazy house. It's where's my money and where's my house? yes, to your point, Mattson, like I love those moments because they're just insane. That I'm like, this is hysterical. The just pure, and again with Alan Arkin, this massively famous actor plays this therapist role, and one of the funniest parts of my whole is when he's late curled up on his own couch, and he's pick up. I know you're there. Pick up, and he goes to pick up, and right as he starts talking, he's like, "Nope," and goes and lays down in the fetal position again. Like, I just love everything about
I
that.
know you love when towards the end when the assassins are in the house and
Oh,
she's got the gun and the dad's in the tub and he like proposes to her and what does the dad say exactly? He's
you have
like,
my blessing.
I know you just died right there.
Oh yeah, every time I watch it, like I just giggle so good because it's just like the ridiculousness. Again, it goes back to, but I'm also too like the way that they shoot. So, and I love the way it starts. You have this dude riding a bike. He's got this sniper rifle or this scoped rifle, and he's watching. It looks all serious. He's talking, figuring it out. He makes this incredible shot, takes the dude out, and you're like, okay, this is cool. And then here comes freaking Grocer with double pistols out, shooting more bullets than either gun will handle. But he unloads them and then unloads more just for good measure. And nobody's looking. And then he just turns around and walks away. And I was like, oh, talk about a paradigm shift. Like this movie's gone weird. And then, like you said, they meet up a few minutes later in the movie and they're all like paranoid and got their guns tucked under their jackets and like weird. But the dialogue between those two, like especially at the end when they're shooting it out at the house, he's like, man, I don't want to. Will there be meetings? And I like, do you want me to have meetings? Of course there'll be meetings.
That death scene was so stupid though.
I loved it.
The TV that killed her, I was like, I don't know if he'd actually die from that, but it was funny. It fit the movie. But I wanted more of those two. I could have taken a lot more of those two in the movie together.
Yeah, my favorite scene's the diner where
such a good
man.
scene. The poor waitress, man.
The agents are watching like, oh, he's brown bagging it. He's walking into the diner.
Oh my god. So dumb. Well, and then Martin takes out his gun and then sticks it under the table and covers it. You're like, what? Everybody just saw that. Yeah. What does he say when he hits him with the TV? Is it Yahtzee? Like he says, he has a line that he always says. Anyway, I don't know.
JJ, I have a question for you. Since you like this movie so much, have you seen what they are calling the spiritual sequel to this movie with John Cusack?
Yeah, War Inc.
Yeah, in 2008. I figured you probably have.
Yeah, it's not as good because it misses the zaniness. Like it has like moments and similar moments, like where he's talking to his secretary, like person, his contact or whatever, and it's a weird concept. Like he's in the Middle East trying to organize like a wedding for a pop star, but he's also in the middle of a war zone, and so like there's a lot of killing and battle and fight. So that's why they say it's the spiritual sequel to it, but like it's missing what I call the heart of the movie, which is the out of control, like, because like to your point, Mattson, like there's no real character development. So I don't care about any of the characters really in this movie except for John Cusack's character. Like Martin is like the guy, but I care so much about him because it's so funny and he's so interesting and weird that I'm okay with anything else and anyone that it flows into his circle of influence is interesting to me because they're within his circle of influence, right? It's missing that. War Inc. misses that. Like John Cusack's John Cusack, so he kills it in the movie. He's funny, he's weird, he's quirky, but it doesn't have the same pizzazz as this one. Like this one's just wildly entertaining, where that one's missing a few pieces.
All right, another question here for most likely JJ. Which famous musician makes a cameo in this movie?
I don't know.
It's from a band called the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and his name is
it's Flea.
Flea. Yeah. It's one of the NSA agents.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I recognize that. I was never a huge Red Hot Chili Peppers guy, so but yeah, Flea. That makes sense.
Another movie here. While most movies, as we know, are never actually shot in the location that they are portraying, this movie takes place in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. But what state do we think this movie was actually filmed in?
Utah.
Okay. Alec?
Colorado.
California.
I only say Utah because the school that's in this film looks a lot like Ogden High in Utah, and Ogden High has been used quite a few times in different movies, so that's why.
Oh yeah, I mean, isn't that the one you're talking about? Is that the one that they filmed? What's that Disney movie with Zac Efron?
High
Yes,
School Musical.
Yeah,
but they also did
That was
one.
St. George.
Oh, was it? No, Ogden High
no,
was
it
in.
was.
Oh, what's the one with? All I think about is Sabrina, the old Sabrina the witch, the teenage witch. What was her name? She had a movie. God, that's Melissa Joan Hart. She had a movie that was terrible, like a teenage movie that was just horrid, and it was filmed and they used Ogden High. But Utah's been used a lot. They also used Ogden High and the one of the pools here in Ogden for the the baseball movie with the kids.
Sandlot.
Yeah.
Sandlot.
You should be ashamed.
I know. I am ashamed, actually. Something crazy. I don't know. Anyway, it was a terrible, terrible movie. Drive Me Crazy was the name of it, but it was filmed in Ogden with Ogden High.
JJ, you'll appreciate this next one. I'll make you guess because I doubt. Well, you of all people might actually know who this is. The movie poster for Grosse Pointe, which I haven't seen. I'll have to pull it up. Was created by the famous, iconic movie poster designer that did Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Back to the Future. Before I say the name, do you know who that person is, JJ?
I do not.
This individual's name is Drew Sturzan, but apparently a very. I mean, those
Iconic
posters
is what it said, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, JJ cares very much about many of those movie posters.
Hey, look, I'm a big movie poster fan. Like I used to have movie posters all over my room when I was a teenager. So, but it's weird to compare the Star Wars movie posters with Grosse Pointe Blanks isn't that interesting.
Yeah, it's not that good. When I just looked at it, I was like, it's not that special because the other ones, I'm like, yeah, those are quite iconic and memorable. I'm like, this sort of like.
Once you do Star Wars, you're set for life. You can do whatever you want.
That's fair. You can make a terrible poster and it will work. Well, yeah, no, it's a pretty boring poster.
But. I mean, not like they had a lot to work with here, because
sure. I mean, you give too much away if you put too much. Because that's another thing I love. Like the name of it, Grosse Pointe Blank, like is just a combination of the town, the city, and Martin Blank, his last name. But there is nothing that gives this movie away. Like I remember when it came out I remember going, I love John Cusack, and the trailer for it obviously gave more away. Like you knew he was an assassin, things like that, but you didn't know how weird this movie was going to be until you went and watched it. Like, it's fucking weird. Like what the hell is happening?
The more we talk about this, having seen this movie, makes me think of how I felt when I went with my high school buddies. I'm still friends with it, and we went to the theaters to see a movie called Burn After Reading. Had no idea what that movie was about, and to this day, probably the funniest movie I've ever seen in person with my friends, because I remember in the middle we were like, what the hell is going on in this movie? We have no idea. And I've seen it since and watched it by myself and even with some people, and it's never been the same. It's never ever landed, because that factor of like, what the hell? And maybe with this movie it could have fit that similar vein, because part of it did, but like Burn After Reading still, like, I wish I could go back and remember when Brad Pitt got murdered. We were all like, the hell? You can't murder Brad Pitt.
Spoilers.
The movie came out a long time ago, but it's this movie kind of has shades of that in the sense that there's some weird, they just throw some weird stuff in here, like the visiting the mom to the assassin that comes out and like all this stuff. You're like, John Cusack's a weird dude because he helped write and produce this movie. Like, you got a messed up mind.
Yeah, John Cusack's quirky. He does some weird shit. I love John Cusack. He's one of my favorites because he's so weird, but I think he acts very well. One of my favorite scenes, though, when you talk about weird shit, is like when Grocer and Martin are talking about why the little dude's after him. And like it's because he accidentally killed the dude's dog, the one victim's dog, and he's like, and then Grocer's like,
Kill one
yeah,
millionaire pet and you're marked for life.
but then like at the end of it, he's taunting him. He's like, pup murderer, dog killer. Like he's just shot as they're getting away from each other as he's leaving the diner. Like pup murderer, dog killer. Like it's just so random and silly. But this is the next time I put one of these weird ass movies, we're gonna have to do a watch party and watch it so that you can laugh at me laughing at this shit and Alec laughing at this shit. Because I'm with
Oh,
you.
this should always be better. My
Yeah.
little brother and stuff like this. These are movies that I need because I laugh at things, but you need the laugh guy.
Yeah. Well, and this one reminds me too of when you're talking about like that burn after reading. Were you with us when we went and saw? I don't remember if you'd moved already or not, but when we went and saw the Hitman's Bodyguard, the first one.
Oh man, I wish I
Dude.
think I had like vacation or something because it would
Yeah.
have been. I know it was stupid, silly.
Because me and Casey and Javier and Ian all went and saw it together, and I'm sitting next to Javier and Casey's looking at me and Javier like we are fucking broken because me and Ian and Javier, I had tears streaming down my face. And we reviewed both those movies, and they're terrible. They're terrible. But I don't remember the last time I laughed so hard in a theater. That might have been the hardest I've ever laughed because we both, and 2 or 3 times I looked off here. What in the fuck are we watching? Like, what is this movie? So I get it, and that is a lot of this one. Like, you can't go into Grosse Pointe Blank going, "I'm watching a rational movie that makes sense," and it's not. It is so weird.
No, but like,
But
I
I
wanted.
Sense.
I
Yeah,
knew
exactly.
that, and I needed it to be. I just wanted more of the people that I liked on screen, and like, what was the grocer like? Give me more of that. But what he always
Sure.
said something. He had like a one-liner that he ended a lot of their interactions with. That's eluding me, and I'm trying to.
Shakabuku.
Yeah, whatever. Like, what the like what?
It's a quick spiritual kick to the face or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. He had one, and then Cusack had one too, right before he killed people. And I can't remember what Cusack's was either. But yeah, I'm with you. I get what you're saying too. Like I get there's not any, because I feel it sometimes, not with this movie, because I'm just biased on this movie, but there are movies like that where I walk away going, what was the point? And this one is one, like if you don't have the same level of love for the humor that I do, like just giggle no matter what, like I can see where you walk away and go, but why? Right? Because there isn't a lot to it that you're like,
No.
Yeah, this is fun.
When she's driving away with a murderer and that she's rationalized it and now feels better about things. So like you still don't really know who this person is. And also it's been 10 years and you haven't gotten over a person disappearing at high school and like still have basically frozen in your high school life. Now you're doing radio, but you live with your dad and like wearing questionable clothing at home, wrapped in a blanket or whatever, what's going on there. And you all look like you're like 35, or if you're Martin Blank, you look like you're like 45. Maybe you failed high school like 8 times in a row or something. And like, it's just funny.
Yeah. Popcorn. That's what it is. Popcorn. That's what Martin Blank says. Every
Why
time
does he
popcorn.
say that? Pop, like,
Don't know.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean,
popcorn.
Again, I loved all of that. They were phenomenal interactions. They just should have given me like 6 more scenes of it.
Yeah. Can I
let him fight the midget that he had to kill? Like, well, give me 3 more of those scenes. Like, it would have been perfect.
Little person, Mattson, or dwarf.
I should have said that. Little
The
person.
ghoul. The ghoul.
Yeah.
No, you're good. I got one more quote I got to go through, and then we can rate it if you guys are ready. Unless you guys have something else you want to talk about.
I mean, we just said that this movie doesn't have a lot of sustenance. So.
But what it does have is the jingle that I was waiting for Mattson to give. So here we go. I'll be coming around the mountain when I come. I'll be coming around the mountain when I come. I'll be blowing your fucking head off. I'll be blowing your fucking head off. I'll be whacking your fucking mind out when I come. Dude, that part when he comes in the house just singing, and they just got out. Like, she opens the door, and they're all coming towards the door, like walking stupid with their guns pointed in front of them like this, and they're just all shooting. Seriously, like I can't even watch it. I'm tearing up laughing at it. But when he sings that song, like it's the greatest. So there it is. Let's rate this thing. It's my movie. I'm going to rate it. This is a completely and utterly biased movie, but I think this is one of the most entertaining, funny, over the top, makes no sense unless you want it to make sense, silly movies. I'm not going to give it a 5. It's not the perfect movie because it is a little weird. Like there's some interactions where I'm like, what? But to me, like I can't think of a movie, and I laugh a lot of movies. I love a good comedy, but to me, like this is one of those movies that the comedy is so ridiculously hyper intelligent that a lot of times you don't get it unless it's the popcorn silly comedy you laugh because you can't help but laugh at. But there's so many moments of him being a narcissist that wants other people in his life simply to satisfy his narcissism that I giggle at, and people are like, what are you laughing at? That wasn't, I'm like, this whole interaction is hilarious because it's so outrageous that I just love it. So I'm gonna give it a 4. It's wildly entertaining. The action's funny as hell. It's silly, but it makes so much sense on a certain level. I love this movie, but it certainly fits the bill of over the top. All right, Mattson, you go next.
Yeah, this movie's a 1.5. It's not a good movie.
Whoa.
This movie, while it has while it has funny moments, the pace is pretty brutal. The character progression's like kind of non-existent. The nostalgia factor, yeah, it's there. Like it's just not a good movie. If they gave me more of the overtop moments with the people that I like, this would be an exponentially higher movie. I won't ever watch this again. It's not a good movie. It's just not. So like, don't listen to JJ. Probably don't spend your time watching it.
Wow. I did not see that coming.
No hesitation, just right for the heart.
Especially like I challenge you, Mattson. I know that you don't listen or watch our episodes when we record them and we release them very often, but I challenge you to go listen to yourself talk about this movie and then the gut wrench of the 1.5. Like I was feeling good, like I was at least gonna get like a 2.5 out of you, and then you ripped my 1.5. Wow.
I needed more.
Because you were
I don't listen 2 hours again because I just did it, and I don't want to skew our listens. We appreciate our real listens.
Oh man, that you just never have I felt more like you were a soulless redhead than I do in this moment right now. My heart is crushed. It hurts.
Pew, 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 pew.
Oh,
Popcorn.
I'm gonna have to find that. Well done, sir. That was good. I'm gonna have to find the next movie that you bring up that I hate and just crush your soul with just. Oh,
JJ, this isn't a good movie. The fact that you said I can't give it a 5, you can't. At least Alec with Redcliffe recently was to my point very objective, and I was quite impressed with his grown-up rating. This one, I feel like you're a little skewed.
Hey, I said that I have a bias.
It's not often I'm on Alec's side, but I definitely will defend him in that. I was very impressed.
Give it a minute.
I was going to say, I was like, there's a reason that you went second, sir. It's because I didn't want to end on your heart-wrenching, though it was much more heart-wrenching than I
know Alec is going to give this a higher rating. I'm just complimenting him in his particular movie.
No, I know.
Would I have given this movie a higher rating if I had watched it with you? Oh, without a doubt, sure. Because you would have made things that weren't nearly as funny to me funnier, but it didn't happen.
Oh, my soul is crushed. Alec, lift me back up, my friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna be with JJ on this. This is a 4. I mean, it gets carried by John Cusack,
sure,
right? And it gets carried to the point where I don't care about anybody else. Not even really Dan Akroyd. Like when he's in the scene, it's funny, but I forgot he existed in between like the early opening kind of meet and greet and the diner. I forgot he was even in the movie because John Cusack steals every single part of this, and he's the reason why this is good. 4. I laughed harder than I should have at everything, but it's that almost I don't know how to describe it. It's like that intelligent humor, but not really. Like that subtle intelligent humor.
This
where
movie
you
has a
have to
lot of dark, witty humor.
you have to
Mhm.
pay attention to what's being said in order to get all the jokes. Like, I mean, the hit where the guy moves, right? And
Yeah.
the aftermath of it, where his thing's like, "I'm unhappy," like your client's unhappy. Yeah, well, the guy moved. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's a hilarious interaction. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be, but it's funny in the way that John Cusack delivers it. I will absolutely be watching this movie again.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's another, and to your point, Alec, because another quote comes to mind is where he's like, she tells him, "You're a psychopath." And he's like, "No. Psychopaths kill for no reason. I kill for money. It's a job." And he's like, "Wait, that didn't come out right." Like that whole sequence to me is like the epitome of this movie, because everyone in it's psychopaths. Even she's a psychopath. Like everyone involved is a psychopath. And we see that by your point, Mattson, where they're like, they helped him clean up a body and they drive away with him after everything that happens. But he's like, no, it's a job. It's like, anyway, that's the shit. So yeah, thanks for making me feel better, Alec.
You're welcome.
Oh,
Bad
Mattson
movie.
crushed my soul. So there's Grosse Point Blank. That was fun. Finishing up the over the top movie. I think it was a good over the top to finish on, though. Like,
It
'cause that
definitely
one-
was the
it's
most
over the top.
polarizing, to say the least.
That's true. So with that, Alec, tell me where they can find us, buddy.
Happy to. So thank you once again for tuning in to Grosse Point Blank. This, as JJ says, wraps up our Go Big or Go Home month, and I think we did quite well, honestly. Are there any movies that we missed that are blatantly obvious or that we should have had in this category? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, tune in Mondays for a new episode release. This upcoming month, I believe, is Hidden Gems. Is that right, JJ? And Mattson's going to hate at least 3 of them.
Soon, listeners, I'll finally be able to input, and we'll get some real movies on here.
That's what you think.
Thank you. To get them on the list. They may not get voted on, though.
Oh, Richard, I'm speaking to you. Help a brother out. Charles doesn't like me.
I think he likes you too much. That's the
There we go. So thank you to our current patrons, Will Carlson, Richard, and the Return of the Ginge. Your choices are appreciated, even your Q1 requests, which I think at this point we'll probably have a couple dropped on the Patreon.
Gosh.
Maybe at least one. With that, I will kick it back to the Kina Crash, the Titan of Terror, a JJ.
Thanks, Alec. Yeah, it is Hidden Gems in March, so we're looking forward to that one.
I can't wait for Mattson to watch Rubber.
Yeah, that one's gonna be rough.
Going on semi-retirement again.
No, we got way too much good shit coming with our quarterlies, and there's Hidden Gems for you to retire. I can't wait. It's gonna be March. Might be the most torturous month.
We got to make these Patreons pay more for the exclusive package here, because we're getting. I mean, it's literally like newfound torture. I feel like I need to look up the Geneva Convention and ask, like, is this legal?
Oh, it's legal, and
only applies to people with souls.
That's so. Love it. All right, well, with that, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Charles, I hate you. Bye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Cinemagic out.
Whoa!